My name is Callie, and I'm just here to get things started and get all the logistics out of the way so we can get straight to the fun. First of all, we're going to be recording today's webinar, and I'll be distributing it later today via email with the slides as well, so you can follow up with us should you have any questions. And we'll also have dedicated time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, so be sure to submit your questions throughout the webinar, and we'll get to as many as possible. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with WordStream, we are a search marketing software provider with free and paid tools to help you easily grow your AdWords and Bing campaigns. So if you're looking to master paid search, check out our PPC University at www.wordstream.com/learn. Today we encourage you to be social on Twitter and definitely join in on the conversation. You can use our hashtag PPC20. You can also follow us at WordStream and one of our speakers today, T. Warner83. Now let's meet our experts today. First we have Tim, our Director of Sales.
Hi everyone. I'm very excited to share my insights into how we can help you manage your account in 20 minutes a week.
Great. As you see, Tim has 8 years of PPC experience, and he's a certified AdWords professional. Next, we have Ben, who is our Director of Product Management, and he's responsible for our call tracking product, and he also has over 8 years of experience in product development and more than half of that in PPC.
Hey, everyone.
So today we'll be covering a few different things, shocking yet common problems we see in PPC accounts. We'll go over 5 guidelines for achieving success in Google AdWords. We'll also go over how you can improve your PPC performance in only 20 minutes a week. And finally, like I mentioned before, we'll get to as many questions as possible, so be sure to submit them. Now, before we get started, we want to learn a little bit about you. So I'm going to launch a quick poll question about how much time you spend doing PPC a week. So are you not sure that you're supposed to be doing work in your PPC account? Are you spending less than an hour, 1 to 10, 10 to 39, or over 40? Guys, what do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. I'm actually really interested to see how much time people actually spend. You know, with the people we speak to every single day, the really cool part and neat part about being at WordStream is you talk to people who have no experience with PPC, and then you also talk with people who have been managing it since 2002 or 2003. What was Google AdWords called back then? Omniture or something like that? Yeah.
Well, it looks like the results are in, and I'll share them with you now. It looks like the majority of people are spending 1 to 10 hours per week, while about 20% is less than 1 hour a week. So it looks like we have a good group of people.
Awesome. Awesome.
Now our next poll question is, what's your biggest time suck in PPC management? Is it bid management, reporting and analysis, ad text authoring, or keyword research negative keywords, or is it landing page optimization?
Well, I know what we usually hear, but I'll let you guys go ahead and submit and then.
I think it would be reporting. I think that's always the hardest.
No, I think you'd be surprised.
Okay. All right, let's close this poll and share the results with you guys.
Let me.
Oh, I might be right. 31% with reporting and analysis, and then we have 25% with landing page optimization, and the rest is pretty equal between bid management, ad text, authoring, and keywords.
All right.
So now let's hand it over to Tim to get things started.
Awesome. Well, a couple more questions for you guys. I have the answers for you guys, so you don't need to answer this at all. Why don't we jump to the first question? So on a daily basis, what percentage on average does a small business waste each month on their Google AdWords spend? The answer is 25% of all the dollars that you're spending on Google AdWords is being wasted. And what I mean by waste are keywords that are not relevant to you, keywords that, or I guess I should say search queries that you're currently not bidding on, but you're matching to, that are not producing leads, they're not producing conversions, that really you shouldn't be getting clicks or impressions for. So the average small business wastes 25% or more each month on their Google AdWords spend. a lot of people we talk to, it's actually even more than that, which is incredibly scary.
All right, so a second trivia question for everybody. How often do you guys think that small businesses, those spending less than $5,000 a month, do work within their AdWords account? Do you think it's every day, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, or once a month? And surprisingly, 50% don't even check their AdWords account once per month, and 25% haven't done anything in the last 90 days. So, if you answered, in that poll question, you didn't know you were supposed to be doing work in your AdWords account, don't worry, you're not at all alone. A lot of people out there think it's more of a set it and forget it type of a thing, and we're here to hopefully give you some insights and show you how that's not the case.
Yeah, and you guys are all on this webinar because you care about your Google AdWords account, so I'm hoping that you guys aren't part of that 50%, but it's something that we see every single day here. Now, where did we get this data? That's a great question. Well, we have a tool, and I'm assuming that most of the people on here have actually run this tool. It's free. It allows you to go in and see exactly how you're performing against your competitors in your similar spend range, and it baselines your AdWords performance. What it also does is it gives us insight into what's actually working for people and what's not working for people. So through this tool, we've graded over $25 billion in Google AdWords spend. More data than any company I've seen except for Google AdWords themselves. So we're able to utilize this information and then give it back to you like we're doing right now and say, hey, we're seeing these trends, we're seeing what's working for people, what's not working for people. Here's this information. Now, why is it good for you? Well, it allows you to see what we're getting for our quality score, what we're getting for click-through rate, what we're getting for conversions. Where am I wasting my money, really, when it comes down to it? And then how am I performing against my competitors? If you haven't run this, I suggest you do. If you have, you probably love the tool, and I suggest even running it again if it's been a little bit.
And so, kind of as Tim said, for all of the accounts that we've graded, we've been able to, at WordStream, gain some huge insights as to kind of typical mistakes that people make within their AdWords account, and ideally, hopefully provide some tips as to how to avoid those pitfalls. So, $3 billion in AdWords spend, and 1 in 4 accounts that we see, 25%, don't have any keywords. People aren't utilizing that. Low quality scores tend to wreak havoc on accounts. And if you, the general gist of this, and the harsh reality is just that the average small business AdWords account is a total train wreck, to put it fairly bluntly.
Yeah, and I'll actually chime in a little bit here too. We look at thousands of Google AdWords accounts every single day, and it's not just the people that I work with, but it's also our team that manages accounts here, and it's also our team that works with folks who want to utilize our software to manage their accounts. So when you start looking at the amount of data and the amount of accounts that we're helping people with, the harsh reality is that it's very difficult to manage a Google AdWords account the way that you should be managing that account. It's hard to read data and read trends within data and then optimize off that data. If you're able to do it, awesome. That's fantastic. Good for you. But again, half the people that are probably on this call aren't able to get in there to do it. And so what we've found is that there's 5 things to be true about achieving AdWords success. And again, it comes down from us analyzing all of our accounts, the people that we work with on a daily basis, and then from our Google AdWords Performance Grader. So 5 things we know to be true. Number 1, we get that PPC is hard, right? I mean, I've been doing this for 9 years. Ben's been in PPC for pretty much similar period of time. Almost everyone we have working here is Google AdWords certified, and it is our job to help people when it comes to Google AdWords. So for us, we've kind of seen everything when it comes to this, but we also understand that for you that it's hard. So the people that we see who are achieving success, they have the tools, they know the techniques, they've educated themselves to make it a lot easier. And those are the folks that are producing a great ROI coming from Google AdWords.
So number 2, we also recognize that the number of people that we talk to, they don't have departments dedicated to online advertising or marketing. It's small business owners who wear this hat when they can. And a lot of people we talk to, they get overwhelmed. They say, I don't have time to do this. They don't know where to start. But the truth is that just a little work every week can have huge impact on your overall account performance, and just spending a little time in making sure that things are up to date and that you're on top of your campaign performance can really pay big dividends.
Yeah, if we're referring back to our Google AdWords grader, we'll actually grade you on how many changes are being made within the account. So we see some people come over and they're scoring 100% in that one area, which is fantastic. Then we also see other people coming over and there's been nothing done in the account for the last 30, 60, 90. Go in there, see exactly what you're doing, and see if it's producing the results you're looking for. Number 3, keep your house clean. And this is probably the most, besides people not doing any work in their account, this is probably the biggest problem area that I'm seeing and my people are seeing on a daily basis, is that you're not adding negatives. You're not adding new queries into your account. You're not killing off poorly performing keywords or pausing them and creating a new ad group behind them. And this causes problems. And I think what we're going to show you in a little bit is probably going to enlighten you.
All right, so a little foreshadowing for tip number 4, but we'll launch another poll question. How often do you guys out there set goals for yourself within your AdWords account? Daily, weekly, monthly, where you don't have any goals? And Tim, I'll ask you, what do you think, on the sales side? What do you guys hear daily? How often do people set goals?
I'd say majority is never.
Yeah.
People never have goals, and you need to have goals if you're doing AdWords, and it could be inside of the account that you have goals where it's a conversion goal or it's a click-through rate goal, or it could be my goal is to log in once a week and do a little bit of work. But I think a majority of people that we talk to they don't have any, and that's kind of flying blind when it comes to Google AdWords.
So guys, it looks like our results are in, and 41% have never, 33% monthly, and then the remaining about weekly.
Okay, so what's tip number 4?
So big surprise there. You got to have goals, right? And it makes sense. If, like you said, if you don't have goals, if you don't kind of set your expectations and know what you want to get out of the investment you're making in online marketing, then you have no way of knowing whether you're successful or not. And kind of like what you said, start small. If you don't have goals, if you've never set a goal, maybe your goal is I'm going to add 3 keywords this week. And then kind of take it a little bit further until you start to measure, whether it's clicks or conversions or brand awareness. But make sure you know what you want to get out and set those goals, and then when you log in, you can start tracking yourselves to that as well.
Yeah, every single conversation that one of my employees has with a potential client is it begins with your goals. Where are you now? What do you want to achieve? What's going to happen if you don't achieve those goals? What's going to happen if you do achieve those goals? When do you want to achieve those goals? And so we try to set that expectation extremely early in the process, so that we're a team working at this together and looking at all the information together to help people realize that, hey, you can achieve this goal, and here's when you can achieve it. And number 5, you got to track what's working. You got to be able to get in there, and you got to be able to see, I know exactly what my money is doing for me and what I'm getting out of that money. And so if you don't have any conversion tracking set up, like if you're in e-commerce, and you're not tracking conversions, you need to do that. If you're generating leads for yourself, whether it's through a form fill or telephone calls, you need to see what is converting. Now, most people might come in and say, well, yeah, I do have my AdWords conversion set up. It's telling me if I got a lead. Well, how qualified is that lead that you just produced for yourself? A lot of people don't know how to do that. A lot of people say, well, I have call tracking set up. Well, that's fantastic. What keyword is producing that call, and how did that call turn out for you? Again, most people don't have that technology to be able to do it. So half the people that we talk to aren't even tracking conversions. If you are, that's fantastic, but I'm here to tell you that you can actually take it another step further.
Right. And so to Tim's point, tracking conversions is essential, because essentially by knowing how many conversions you're getting, you can say, hey, is the money that I'm spending on AdWords worth what I'm getting out of it? And for those who are tracking conversions, usually what you see is you see it set up where someone says, hey, I know that I've spent this much money on clicks, and out of that I've gotten this many web form fills. And that's great, but it's not generally the entire picture. Maybe for some e-commerce people, it's everything, but a lot of people, I would say the majority of people we talk to, Tim, tell me if I'm wrong here, also take phone calls. And so tracking phone calls and knowing the conversions that you get offline is a huge piece of the picture as well.
So Ben, do we know how many people on average are tracking telephone calls for Google?
I would say the bare minimum. I mean, it certainly are the people that when they sign on, very few are tracking the number of conversions that they get online, and that's one of the reasons that we recognize this problem. You talk about locksmiths or bail bondsmen, where the vast majority of their business happens offline and over the phone. And what we've done is we've tried to help these people get a clear picture of what they're getting for what they're paying through.
Right. And so, what's the benefit behind that?
Well, the true benefit is to be able to say, I know what keywords and what search terms are driving the things that make my phone ring, and then being able to take action on that information and being able to say, hey, emergency plumbing repair generated 6 conversions for me this month, and maybe I should be bidding more on a keyword like that.
So really, it's essentially giving you clarity into what I'm getting on my Google AdWords account, but more it's saying, hey, now we know what is actually driving me business. We know what's making me money. Now we can attack that. Absolutely. And actually get more of that type of business that I wasn't getting before.
Yeah, step 1 is about providing the information, and then step 2 is about using that information and taking action.
Okay, so if you are generating telephone calls, it doesn't make sense to not track this stuff.
No, I mean it's imperative. I mean, why would you track half of anything, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it goes to that famous quote, right? I know that 50% of my advertising budget is performing for me. I just don't know which 50%.
Right. It's about trying to shine a light on that other 50%.
All right. All right, cool.
So lots of leads come from phone calls, as we said. Service industry is a clear one. If someone's pipe burst, they're not going to go online and fill out a web form.
Well, I know us as a software company, right? I'm a director of sales for a sales team. When that phone rings to our sales line, there's literally no hotter lead that we could have, and we have thousands upon thousands of leads every single month. That phone rings, and it's like a mad dash.
Yeah. Well, and I read a stat recently that, I think the odds of connecting with a potential prospect drops by 50% within the first half an hour, which means if someone sends in a form and you can't get back to it right then, the chance that you're going to convert that lead is much lower.
Or if someone calls and you don't know who that person is that called, right, you're probably not going to get that sale.
Right. So if you have a phone number on your website, it's kind of a general guideline. You should be tracking the calls you get. I mean, you clearly value phone calls because your phone number's there.
Okay. But I mean, what we're trying to get across to people is that you want to optimize your account for all types of leads, right? I mean, if someone comes to us and just says, I'm optimizing my accounts for my bids to get to the #1 position, okay, right? That's great. Now you're #1. You won the Google AdWords Highest Bidder Award, but are you actually producing business?
Right.
Right, and that's really what we're trying to help people understand, that there's a way that you can do this better, that you don't have to waste 25 to 50% of your AdWords budget. You can actually maximize that whole spend if you really wanted to, if you're tracking it the way that you want to track it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it goes back to what you said. The first step is tracking, and then the second step is kind of gaining insights beyond just web leads and applying those insights to optimize your account performance.
Okay, cool.
So, a little bit into the nitty-gritty about kind of how WordStream's call tracking product works. We recently rolled this out, and what it does is it allows a user to set what they consider to be a conversion with respect to a phone call by call length. So, maybe you only care about calls that are over 2 minutes in length. We'll track all the calls that come into your business down to the keyword, and then once a day we'll take the calls that met your conversion criteria and push them up into AdWords.
So that sounds really techy, right?
It does.
So people don't have to do this on their own.
No,
right? We would actually help them throughout this whole step, and we do a lot of that work for them.
Yeah, we have a fantastic customer success team that help you get it set up. But the gist of it is that you can then go into AdWords and actually see the conversions that you're getting from the phone calls that we're tracking, and you can see them down to the keyword.
So we're pushing them back into Google AdWords as well.
Yeah, we're pushing them right back into AdWords and saying, hey, this keyword drove this particular phone call that you consider to be a conversion because you wanted it to be, over 2 minutes.
So it's their data that they own, they keep.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. That's really cool, man. All right, so how can you improve your performance in only 20 minutes a week? First of all, you need to be logging into your Google AdWords account if you want to be able to do this. Okay, that's absolutely 100% step number 1. What we're going to do is we're going to help people simplify the critical tasks in PPC. So a lot of people don't understand what to actually do inside Google AdWords. Now, what Google does, and I'll actually step back a little bit, Google is fantastic at telling people what to do. They're just really poor at telling people how to do it, okay? That's a big problem. So what we've done as a company, and why, you know, we have the #1 rated PPC blog, I think, in the world, United States and the world, is because we're telling people how to do certain things, right? We're on this webinar to give you guys information back on how to improve your account and how to do it a lot faster and a lot more efficient than trying to go into Google AdWords and do it yourself. So what we're helping people do is we're helping them to reduce and reallocate that wasted spend. Take that 25 to 50% of your waste and actually put it to work. Instead of just taking that and putting it back into your pocket, you are already spending this money. Let's get more business out of it. What we want to do is we want to make things automated and actionable for you, so you don't have to analyze data. You don't have to optimize off of data. I think Ben was a math major, but I was a history major, right? I don't know how to analyze data. I know Ben does. And also what we want to do is cut down on those hours and hours a week so that you can come in here on a 20-minute week basis and optimize your account. And so we created this set of alerts, and if you see what they are, this is what you should be doing inside of your account every single week. Okay, there's 5 things. Whether you use my tool or not, you should be doing 5 things every single week. Adding negative keywords. Oh, take one step back, Allie. You're a little bit ahead of me. So adding negative keywords. What this is going to do is going to help you stop wasting your money. Okay, that's #1. Stop wasting your money. Don't give your money back to Google. You're already giving them plenty. You don't have to give them more than what you really need to. Add negative keywords so you can stop that terrible click coming into your website. You can stop that terrible impression. Okay, impressions aren't that great if it's not a good impression. Okay, because you're showing up and no one's clicking on your ad, it's actually a bad thing. That's going to hurt your relevancy with Google. So we want to stop this and we want to reallocate it. One way we can reallocate it is by adding in new keywords into my account. Believe it or not, you're actually spending money on keywords that you're not even bidding on. A lot of people don't know this. That's called a search query. It's through broad match or phrase match or modified broad match, these words that Google thinks you're relevant for, but you actually probably are not relevant for. What you can do is you can start taking action on those, either by adding that as a negative like we already showed you, or if it's a great word for you that does describe your business, let's add that into my account. Let's get Google credit for that word. Because if you're not bidding on it right now, it's not helping you. You're actually paying more for that click than you actually really need to. The next step, what we want to do is we want to optimize my ads. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that every single month, once every 30 days, I'm looking at my ad text, and hopefully I'm A/B testing it. If you're not A/B testing, then we should probably have a conversation offline. But you should be seeing what's working, what's not working for you from an ad tech standpoint. These are the little blocks of ads that represent your company on Google. Let's make sure that they're compelling. Let's make sure that they're built with PPC best practice. Let's make sure that they're actually giving me a high quality score, a good click-through rate, and they're producing money for me. You also want to be optimizing your bids. Now, I kind of killed bids a little bit earlier, but it's still important, right? The reason why it's important is because, hey, maybe position 3 is much more lucrative for you than position 1. Maybe position 2 is driving more conversions than position 3, so I need to increase my bid. Well, a lot of people don't know how to read that data. They don't know how to analyze that data and then optimize from that data. My tool would actually do that for you. We would do all this analysis for you where you can come in here and select and choose which you want and which you don't want. You can actually do that in 20 minutes a week. Now, one last step that you can do is you pause poorly performing keywords, and we'll get to that in a second. But these 5 tasks right here are so critical to achieving success within PPC, the PPC world, that if you're not doing that, you're not taking advantage. And you're probably giving more money to Google than you need to.
So yeah, and I think kind of to what Tim, Tim's point, I think part of it is knowing where to start and kind of having a workflow. And so, whether you're using the 20-minute work week yourself or not, it's really about knowing what to do and where to take action. And that's one of the nice things that the 20-minute work week does, is it can take a look at how many impressions you've got, how many people have clicked on the ads that you've served, how many conversions came from those clicks, and then make recommendations. Is this a keyword that's working for you? yes, maybe you should increase the bid for it, or hey, maybe you've gotten a ton of impressions or a ton of clicks and no conversions, and maybe it's a keyword that you should either bid down or even add to your negative list.
Right. So what this philosophy is going to do for you, it's going to help you reallocate your wasted spend. It's going to help you improve your quality score, and it's going to help you become efficient within Google AdWords.
So, the keys to success within AdWords really, it starts and it sounds super basic, but it's really important to know how you're performing, and that goes to knowing the metrics to look at, and measuring those metrics that matter. And for the vast majority of people we speak to, it comes down to conversions, and whether that conversion is in the form of a lead or a web form fill, or if it's a shopping cart purchase. It's about knowing how many of those transactions took place for the $500 or $1,000 or $10,000 that you may be spending per month in AdWords.
Well, the number one time suck was reported.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Knowing what you're getting for what you're spending.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we have that tool for people. We have it from a call tracking standpoint, where you can see what keywords, what ads, what ad groups, what campaigns are producing telephone calls, and get a recording of that telephone call. But also from a data standpoint, we automate that for our clients, where we're going to pull all the information in. You can come in and see exactly what's happening from the money I'm spending.
So, to kind of summarize, as we said, if you're not doing these things, or if you haven't been in your AdWords account in a long time, you're in good company. The fact of the matter is, most advertisers' AdWords accounts are in pretty poor shape. And so, if that is you, the first thing, review the 5 habits of successful PPC marketers, and know the importance of optimizing your account for conversions, whether it's web forms or shopping cart fills or some combination of both.
Yeah, and again, we're going to send all this information to everybody. When we get out of here, you're going to have a recording of this. You're going to have the slide deck that we used, I believe, too.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys can see exactly what you need to do on a weekly basis in order to manage your account in 20 minutes a week, but also how to do it properly, and how to get the most out of the money that you're spending on Google AdWords. And hopefully everything we're able to share really will help you guys, because it works for our thousands of clients that we have here. And I think it would work for you guys too.
Great. Thanks, Ben and Tim. I really appreciate that. Now, before we get to your questions, which if you haven't submitted, be sure to submit right now, we have some special offers for you today that I'm going to launch and encourage you to take advantage of. So if you're interested to learn how to track and increase your call volume, like we spoke about today, definitely select that, and we can get you help with that. And then a personalized one-on-one AdWords assessment. So as Tim said, we have a ton of AdWords certified consultants, and they'd be happy to help you out, look at your AdWords, see where you're doing really well, and kind of identify different areas for improvement so that you can continue to be successful. And then finally, if you are all set and just want the recording and slides, just go ahead and select that as well. And while you guys are filling that out, I'd like to get to some of your questions. So first of all, kind of how we ended on reporting, just out of curiosity, someone is interested in like how often you should be doing reporting. Like, is it a weekly thing? Is it a monthly thing? How often?
I hate this answer, but it kind of all depends. It depends on what you're actually looking to report on. If you're just looking on overall campaign and account health, different trends, then yeah, maybe you can actually do it every 30 days. If you have goals set up, you probably want to have a situation where you're looking at it daily and reporting on it every 14 days.
Yeah.
14 to 30 days, I would say.
The other thing that we'll caution people is there is such a thing as kind of, over measuring, right? If you're making changes in your account, you want to give some time for those changes to take place so that you can see the impact of them. Otherwise, you make a change and then you revert that change, you make the change, and you never actually see what the long-term is.
Yeah, it's funny, being in PPC for 9 years, it seems like everything, and it's never changed, everything revolves around a 30-day window.
Yeah.
And that's probably Google. Google set that 15 years ago whenever they started this thing, and everyone just works off a 30-day window to see different trends.
Yeah, 30 days is generally, it's a good window. I mean, that's your budget's generally set up monthly, so to be able to say, okay, for this month, how did I do, and then make adjustments, and then month over month.
Great. Next questions, there's a couple of them, so about call tracking. So probably for you, Ben. But first of all, can you kind of just go over the overall general high-level view of how the WordStream product works for call tracking?
Sure.
High level, that's going to be tough for you, man. You built it.
Yeah, I know. So the way it works is there's a little piece of code that we will help anybody who's interested in using it put on their website. And then what happens is when someone clicks on an ad from paid search, we've been talking a lot about AdWords, but this works for Bing or on other paid channels as well.
Display, remarketing,
yep.
So paid search. Anytime you're paying for someone to visit your website.
Right. When someone comes from a paid ad, what will happen is that phone number, your business number, which is on your website, will get overwritten with a call tracking number. And then that call tracking number is associated with the keyword and campaign and ad group and match type that drove that person to your website. And when someone calls in on that line, we can track that call. And if you want to record that phone call, we have the ability to do that. We measure the call length, and then, as I mentioned before, depending on how long that call is and what your conversion kind of threshold is, we'll take that call and either push it back to AdWords and say, hey, this was a conversion, or we can hold on to it and you can see it, but we won't push it as a conversion. And then that allows us to run a bunch of analytics and reporting to show, these are the calls that are good and they're driving conversions, and these are the keywords associated with them.
Okay, so here's your high-level answer.
Yeah.
Is that we have a dashboard set up for you that you can log into, and you can see every call that is generated through your Google AdWords account. You can see the name of the person, what keyword they used to search, what ad group produced that click to your website, or what ad text produced that click to your website, and then a recording of that call. That also pushes back into Google AdWords and also into our 20-minute work week. And so what our clients are able to do is now they're able to start generating more telephone calls at a lower price because they know what is generating the calls in the first place.
The lesson learned. You take the high level.
I'll get it.
Right.
I'll take it from you.
Now, a quick follow-up to that. Does WordStream call tracking work in Canada?
Yes.
Great.
Got 2 more minutes.
Next question. So when you're running campaign and you're talking about optimizing bids, are you able to do that at the keyword level?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole idea is to know which keywords are performing, and then making usually small adjustments over time, and then and seeing what the results of those changes are, and then continually optimizing that way. I think sometimes blanket changes at the campaign or ad group level are effective, but if you have the information and can make them at a more granular level, like at the keyword level, it's generally an effective way.
Yeah, I think best practice is to make them at keyword level because all keywords are going to perform different for you. If you're able to track conversion, that's fantastic, but all keywords are going to perform differently for you, and so you don't want to be spending the same amount of money on a whole hundreds of different keywords. That wouldn't make much sense.
Great. Now another quick question about keywords. Is it better to use exact match or broad match negative keywords?
Oh, negative keywords?
Yeah.
Okay. It all depends, right? Coming back to my favorite answer, least favorite answer. It all depends on what you're trying to get out of that negative. So if you want to exclude that keyword from ever showing up in any of your lists, you absolutely, and that one exact keyword, you definitely want to make that an exact match negative. If you set that as a broad match negative, it could be bringing in a whole bunch of different types of words that maybe are relevant for you that you're going to be blocking yourself from. And so I always suggest to people to set it as an exact match negative keyword personally. Yeah,
the best broad negative keyword that I always come back to is that we used to hear franchise all the time when I was working on the national side. Generally, if someone's interested in context, and so you can kind of broad match something like that. But like something like shoes, which is there may be instances where it's relevant and other instances where it's not. That's more of an exact match.
Yeah, I mean, I think for something like a free or job or used, those come to mind when you're talking about broad match negative.
All right, Tim, this is probably a question for you. In the 20-minute work week, how can you and how do you see the alerts in the queue, and can you edit or delete them?
All of the above. You absolutely can see everything that we have for you. So most people go through. You can change the match type right from there. You can select all if you want. You can change the spelling of the word if you wanted to do that. You can make it an account level, a campaign level, or an ad group level negative. My suggestion to you is actually just test out the free trial and see the type of suggestions that we're giving to you. And then you can go through and see how easy that is to actually add or delete that negative from your account.
So Tim, you bring up the free trial, and we actually have a question about that. And how secure is it? So people are wondering, about they're a little sensitive around their data being shared. So could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. We all of our clients, everybody that signs up for the trial, or anybody that chooses to license out the trial itself, everyone is 100% protected. All of your information is privacy protected. I don't know how to get as technical as you can get and speak technically about it, but we've never had a problem with anyone accessing any sort of information from any of our clients.
Great. Now we have a small agency question. Is it possible to use the WordStream tool for multiple clients and domains?
Yeah, I think the stat is that 45% of our client base actually has multiple accounts with us, multiple profiles, as we like to call them. And I think about 35 to 40% of our clients are actually agencies that are managing anywhere from 2, 3, 4 different accounts, all the way up to 500 different accounts within our software. So very popular because it's going to help you with efficiency and time savings.
Great. Now this question is a little complicated, so bear with me here. So sometimes you might be, someone heard that you guys say, sometimes you might be spending money on keywords you're not even bidding on. So is that referencing pulling in traffic for keywords you're not intentionally bidding on just because of the match type or keywords being used?
Yeah, I think you answered your question right there. Is that if you're using broad phrase or modified broad, you're allowing Google to match you to different words that they think might be relevant to you. And that's what we were referencing on, that you could be spending money, and people just don't know how to see that information. They don't know how to find those keywords, and then also they don't know how to take action on those words. And these are the words that can cause a ton of havoc on your campaigns, and can cause a ton of wasted spend. And so if you're not right now actively adding in negative keywords or going through your search queries, you probably want to contact us offline, and then we can show you how to do it, and we can walk you through best practice for that.
Great. Now I think we have 2 more just quick questions. We've been talking a lot about Google today, but does WordStream's tool work for Yahoo and Bing ads as well?
Yeah, it does. It's actually really cool. So when we built the Bing part of our tool, we went to all of our clients, just like we always do when we build something new, and we asked, what would you want to see? What would make your life easier? What would make your account easier? And almost 100% of people, I remember, this is like 2 years ago, came back and said, I try to manage my Bing account the same exact way I manage my AdWords account, meaning if I take an action in AdWords, I'm more than likely going to take that action in Bing as well. So if you can do something to make my life easier, that would be great. So when we built the Bing extension onto the tool, we allow people now to go in and take an action in AdWords and also take that action in Bing at the same time. So you don't have to toggle back and forth between the 2 different platforms. Everything is in one place at one time, and you can just take one action for it, which, I mean, if you're spending 4 hours a week managing both, now you're probably spending 2.
Great. Now this last question, and I have a feeling it's your favorite answer, Tim, so maybe, how much should a small, medium business be spending on PPC per month? But okay, maybe we can talk about how do you strategize about, figuring that number out.
Okay, good question. And get this question, like I said, I've been doing this for 9 years, and it's probably the most popular question I get. Tim, what do I spend on Google AdWords? And everyone's staring at me right now, but what do I spend? And I always say, well, you got to do a reverse gap analysis on yourself as a business. And what do I mean by that is you have to ask yourself, what is my average sale? Okay, I would start there. Next, what I would do is I'd ask, okay, if 10 people picked up the phone and called me, if 10 people filled out a form on my website, how many actually turn into sales? Okay, well, if it's 10%, 20%, 50%, whatever that number is, now I know how many conversions I need to drive. All right. From there, what I want to do is I want to know how many leads do I need to produce. From there, what I want to do is I want to say how much is an average click in my industry.
Yeah, and then it's been so it's kind of as Tim said, it's backing all the way out and being able to to measure that return on that investment. And so, sometimes the easiest answer is to say, start small, start with what you're comfortable with. You don't want to over-invest too early. But if you have all of the tracking tools in place, you can start with a couple $100 and then measure how many clicks I got, how many conversions did I get, how many of those conversions, if it's a web form or a phone call, actually turned into business, and then take a step back and say, okay, for the $200, $300, $500 that I spent, how much money did I make? And if the answer is $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, then it may be worth putting in a little additional money. But kind of to Tim's point, it's all about knowing what to measure and kind of backing out of that.
Great. Well, guys, that's all the time we have today, and I know we didn't get to all the questions, and some of the answers were, it depends. So if you're interested in learning more about your specific account, I definitely would recommend you reaching out to Tim or Ben. Both of their contact information is on the screen right now, and I will be sure to share that in the email that you'll receive later on today with both the slides and the recording for you to review. And if you want to reach out to WordStream, you can find us on Twitter at WordStream, and again, you can reach out to Tim at twarner83. Should you wish to discuss anything further. And we thank you guys for your time and hope to see you at our next webinar.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I'd love to talk to you guys if you have any questions.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.